Let me tell you what a G my pops was, man. My pops. I have a sister, a half sister, whom I share my father with, who is 2 months older than me.
Word? Damn.
One day you'll meet her. So we like twins, but not quite.
Your daddy was putting down the
You know those
both
guys.
sides.
You know those guys in university. They have a girlfriend, but at home they also have a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
So my dad was like that. He was popping at university, and that was my mom. But back home, he was also doing something with my sister's mom.
Oh shucks.
Yeah.
I also have a half sister, but she passed away.
Most
people don't know this, but I actually also have a blood half sister that my dad had before.
Oh, so my dad wasn't the only Rolling Stone.
My dad was also a Rolling Stone, man. She passed away.
How does that make you
image
feel?
of my father.
How does that make you feel?
Spitting image of my father.
How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel that you have a bigger responsibility towards how you treat women because you know firsthand in your experience, you know, like and I'm not saying that it's good or bad that you had a half sister. I'm not casting my dad or your dad in any certain kind of light, but I'm just interested in how that makes you feel, because I love all of my siblings and I'm always excited to meet the new people.
Yeah. No, for me, like, look, no, don't worry, we'll continue. My feeling towards how to treat women, it derives from that a little bit, and also just from how the hardships that I saw my mom go through being married to my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The things that she'd had to endure having been married to my dad, because he was not a model father. I'm not even gonna lie about that.
Yeah.
You know, so I looked at that situation and I was like, I never want to see any woman that is in my presence, at least that whose life that I can affect, be treated that way. Or you know what I mean? So that kind of wrote the narrative of how I treat women, because I saw what the inverse of that looks like, and it's not pretty. And also it stays with you. These experiences that women go through, they stay with you, man. It's that stuff is trauma. You know what I mean? So I just decided that I don't want to be the culprit in that regard, to treat women like that.
It's interesting seeing that other side. I mean, I never got to see any other kind of side. So my mom and dad, when they made me, they quickly split afterwards. And so, and my dad's side of the family didn't really accept me as existing. Right. I gather it's because my dad had come through 2 months earlier and was like, yo! By the way, so when he came back 2 months later, I was like, hey,
I forgot to tell you.
I forgot to tell you, actually.
Yeah,
they're not quite twins.
Yeah, but they're not twins, but they're almost.
You see what I mean?
Twins.
And so then I then you know when you say that you had to have a family take care of you because your mom had to go work. My mom had the same thing because she was kicked out because of my pregnancy. And then we were adopted by another family from Port Elizabeth, and that's why I was born in PE. Okay. Because we lived with that family. And she was still in like a teaching college, you know, doing teaching and stuff, and she's a teacher today. But I didn't get to see, because she remarried and she married my stepdad, who's been a fair guy. I mean, I wouldn't say he's been absolutely perfect, but he's been. I'd give him a pass. You know, if I'd have to rate him, I'd give him a pass. I think being a stepdad is probably a little bit more difficult than being a dad. It is. Like a biological dad. And I wasn't the best. I was rebellious as fuck. Yeah. And so, but in the way that he's treated my mom, because that's what we're talking about now, I feel like he's been fair. I don't think it's been perfect. I don't think anybody is. I don't think any relationship between two people is perfect. No, not done. But I haven't been exposed to this side that you're talking about. But I'm seeing the side that you're talking about from my dad and my stepmom. Okay. And I can only imagine what kind of impact it can have on a person.
Yeah, man. That stuff, like it,
in terms of how you as a guy would treat women. I mean.
No, it writes the story, man. I'm not gonna, like, from my personal perspective, that wrote the mandate. You know what I mean? On how my interactions with women would be, because it's not only also it's not just my mother's story that did that. Is every other story that was around me at the time. So there's my cousins, there's my sister, there's just general stories that you hear and that you get to experience just around you, because a lot of the stuff that is problematic in our society, a lot of it is very close. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to how women are treated, or just how the family dynamic works in that. They're very close. Like, all of us have, if you're not experiencing anything like in your immediate family, it's probably happening in your, like, you know,
at least your neighbor,
or a cousin or something somewhere very close to you. So that for me wrote the narrative, and I was like, you know what, I want to, just from a personal perspective, because I mean, I can only affect the things I am not in control of, but I'm close to. I can't affect everything else. So I was like, in the corners that I get to touch and that I get to exist in, I want my behavior, and I'm not also saying I've been perfect in that regard, but I want my behavior to at least not be copy and paste what my cousins or my mother or anybody else that has been in the presence of men to go through, because that story is too common. You know,
have you ever had a chat with your mom about how the way that your dad was?
Wow. Yes, many times. And one thing that told me is this thing, yoti, women must begazela. Man. That thing. I do not.
It's a very difficult one, hey? Because I mean, I'm grateful that Beyonce begazela with Jay-Z. Because I think that sent a message that, the family unit is important.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people should stay together for the sake of children.
No, definitely
I don't. But I think that people should not be propelled to be apart because of somebody's mistake if they can forgive that mistake.
If they can forgive that mistake.
If they can forgive
not
that mistake.
If they are forced to forgive that mistake. Because one thing that does happen a lot, and this is another particular thing that actually happened to my mom, where...
Orachadi.
Orachadi. Not even Orachadi, but even like... closer, you know what I mean? The elders, or Mama Zala type, Mam's law, and that kind of, where they would sort of coerce you to begazela because of what it would tarnish the legacy of the family if you were to leave this this very broken relationship, and you end up staying there because now it's about everybody else besides you. But where else the hardships that you're experiencing within your own family unit continue, and they don't affect them directly. The only time they get to be in contact with that is when the complaint or the situation is so dire that it gets to have it gets to the point where there has to be a family intervention or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think if you're going to decide to begazela, it has to be your own choice for your own reasons. It has to have nothing to do with anybody else. But I think we've made it such a thing, man, especially with us black folk. I can only speak from maybe the black experience because that's the only life I've lived.
Lobola has a part to play in that too.
There's also that. But it's become such a I don't know, man, such a thing with us, with Abatwazotini syndrome, this fucking thing that we have, you know what I mean? Where it is now so entrenched in our culture, where people begazela even when they don't need to. You know what I mean?
But I think everybody begazelas,
No, we do. Yeah.
I'm not saying, and I'm not advocating for begazela in any way or form. But I'm just thinking, because there's this whole narrative that one has to get married and form a family. I think there's a strong narrative that must persevere no matter what is happening between, the two leaders in the family, the mom and the dad. That by all means, that must be kept intact. Even if the dad is being abusive, the mom should somehow find a way for the sake of the kids. I don't think that's correct, but I do think that if the mom, feels like they can fix things, I encourage that too. I'm being very careful when I say that, because I feel like Beyonce made the right decision in staying with Jay-Z.
Right.
For me, but I think that for her, it is especially a good decision because so many people
rely on that.
Rely on that.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. But I mean, we don't know their business, and I think with all the millions and everything that they've garnered, it's very possible for them to still keep quote unquote a business relationship if their personal relationship has fragmented. I think because of the people that they are. But
wow, I never thought. Maybe I'm being naive, but I never thought they might be keeping it together for the sake of business.
I think partly they do. But I'm not. I honestly because
that much money also comes with ego is why I didn't.
And
think
they came together, and the minute those two came, I mean, look, they were superstars they didn't need
their
each
own
other.
right. They didn't need
Beyonce
each other,
did not need Jay-Z. Jay-Z did not need Beyonce. But the minute they came together, they became a fucking powerful force.
But I feel like they did need each other. You know why? It's like the one person sees the other person and he's like, you know what? Ain't nobody seeing you. The other one is like, you know what? Ain't nobody seeing you. It's clear that we should be together.
True that. Everybody saw Beyonce. Nobody saw Jay-Z. But still, he got her.
Nah. Who's hotter than Jay?
I don't know, bro. A lot. Even you're hotter than Jay. And I just said that on
camera. No. I mean, in terms of money.
No. Here's what I think. There's definitely a business relationship there. Them as the Carters obviously made fucking money from being the Carters. Let's not beat about the bush.
No, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So there's that. But then there's also a genuine family unit love. There's kids involved. There's actual family involved. They have real family issues. You know what I'm saying? And if BA decided to keep it together because of that family, that is to be commended.
Yeah.
That is to be commended for her doing that because she doesn't need him per se. And also, we don't know how far entrenched he is into her business with her being Beyonce and all that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We don't really know how far.
She signed to Tidal.
There we go.
Exclusively to Tidal.
So if you're going to my like with regard to all of that, if you're going,
I want to say she carries Tidal actually.
I don't know, man. Tidal is for me. Tidal is nowhere in terms of
streaming service compared to the other.
Streaming.
But you can't get Jay-Z anywhere else. You can't get Beyonce anywhere else.
Well, now you can. They kind of have. The
war ended with Apple.
It's fragmented. Lemonade at some point. Lemonade is actually my favorite Beyonce album. Yes, I do have a favorite Beyonce album.
I can see from
Lemonade.
the T-shirt, Go to Lemonade is your favorite Beyonce album.
So, Lemonade you could only find it on Tidal at some point, but now you can. It's on iTunes. So it's a very tough battle that they're fighting, and they're fighting a monster, which is Apple. But what I was going to say is that if you're going to forgive and if you're going to begezel, you must make sure that it is for the reasons that you want and that you are comfortable with, and you want to do that, and you want to give your family a try, not because of some other people around you.
Yeah, not because of Rakhadi.
Not because of Rakhadi, not because of Rangwani, not because of Makulu, not because of anybody. And even when you do, the behavior has to change. Because if you are forgiving somebody whose behavior is not changing, then there is no point in begazellery. To this day, I believe that, and this is probably something that I should not say online, but I believe that had my mom not begazeled, she would have probably had a better life. Post that. She would have left. And I mean, she had a great life. You know what I mean? She still has a great life. But I think had she not begazeled, she would have had an even better life because my dad was not worth the begazellery. You know what I mean?
So you mean if she left earlier, she would have had a better life younger?
She would have had a better life younger, got to do many things, just like build her own life.
Man, it's crazy that sounds feel like
that's how I feel.
Do you know how I feel sometimes? Sometimes I feel like if my mom would have had an abortion, she would have had a better life.
But that means you wouldn't be here though.
I know, but I mean, I know it because for me that would have made sense. Her life would have been so much less complicated. She wouldn't have had to maybe do teaching. Maybe she would have been able to do something else. And maybe her life would have flourished and she wouldn't have had to settle for trying to create a family environment because she has a child. Because I feel like she probably had the pressure that, okay, let me get this teaching degree. Let me start teaching. Let me get married. Let me get a house. Oh, okay, so Kwanda can come live with me. Because I feel like that was a big driving force until the time I went to go live with her.
Okay.
So I feel like if she didn't have that, maybe she would have lived a totally different life. And I've had this conversation with her, and she'd say to me, "Oh, dynamite." And actually, she's not even that old. She's like 49 or 50 or something, you know?
Yeah, your mom is young, bro.
And so she's like 18 years older than I am.
Damn, your mom is young. My mom is 73.
So she would say to me, like, you shouldn't say things like that. Like, remember, I should have. But I was like, you know what? Actually, but you really, like actually, you should have.
Yeah, well, you're saying it from a rational point of view.
If she was more independent, if she had guts, she would have done that. But I don't think that.
But also, I don't think. But also, like you are. Shut. No. Let's carry on the convo because I don't really want to cut this. This is really slow.
Yeah.
I just wanna carry on. Do you have a red dot?
Yes, we do.
I hope this cut doesn't cut out now because.
But you were about to ask something.
I forgot what I was gonna ask now.
I was saying, but you were saying, but you.
I was saying you saying it from the way you understand things from the era that you live in, from now. You know what I mean? Where things like abortion and all of that are not shunned upon. You know what I'm saying? They're not looked at in the same way that they were at that time. You know what I mean?
Perhaps.
You know what I mean? So now, I mean, people are very candid about the fact that they had to terminate and whatever because so many things have happened that we understand where that comes from. Back then, man,
it was like murder or something.
It was murder. It was just people were like, look, SA is a very conservative country. Much as we think we're not, we are actually still very conservative about a lot of things. We may have stuff on paper that says, hey, this is legal now and you're free to do this and whatever, and we have facilities to actually support all of this. But within the structure of us, as traditional as we are, especially as black people, we are still very much conservative about all of that shit.
Oh, but white people are hella conservative too, actually.
Well, I can't speak from the white experience because I haven't lived that life.
No, saying sure. Abo NG Kerk.
But you see,
Calvinist, them niggas is conservative
as fuck. But hence I'm saying though, this is a very traditional country. You know what I mean? Our customs are very much traditional. You're talking about the NG and the Afrikaans people, very conservative, very very staunch, you know, to their beliefs type of people, right? So a lot of that stuff, it's only now maybe like with maybe like our generation and maybe a generation before, whatever, where it's become a little bit
more relaxed.
But if you're talking about somebody that was, this is like when the 80s. It was,
this was in
you
1989.
You wouldn't even think of having an abortion or even mention the name that in that time. You know what I mean? It wasn't even an option. So it's just a different life. Now your experience, having lived the life that you live with the options or with the mental state that you have, it's a different state of affairs. Whereas for the generation of your mom, it wasn't.
But you know, sometimes I feel guilty because I feel like sometimes I want to say to her, what were your ambitions? I mean, I've never asked her that, but sometimes I want to ask her, like, clearly this was not your plan, or was it your plan? Just for the sake of convo. But I think sometimes my mom finds that kind of conversation a little bit uncomfortable.
It would be, because the thing is, one thing I've noticed about parents, especially when you start asking those kind of candid questions, they wouldn't want to hurt you with their words, because they think
I should have killed you, motherfucker. But I'm like saying that, Jenna. How can it be awkward to say it to me when I'm saying it to you?
They don't see it like that, or they don't even want to think of it like that, because you've technically known your parents when you were probably, I don't know, I'm thinking of you at a rational mind, maybe in your teens. That's when, you know what I mean? They have known you before you were even fucking born and wiping your shit and all that. You know what I'm saying? So their relationship to you is very different from your relationship with them. And maybe there's things that your presence has brought into their lives that you're not even aware of. Then this is the kind of things that I get from my mom as well. When she tells me, like I was like, my mom wasn't expecting me when I was born. Actually, my mom had me in like what, her late 30s, early 40s.
Oh, okay. So you're one of those.
Yeah. So the life dynamic, like, is just different from their perspective, and they will always answer you in a way that will make you feel like you needed to be there. You get what I'm saying? Because your rational mind, in the way that you think right now, says, "Hey, man,
why'd you do that?
Why'd you do that for?" You know what I mean? Because in this day and time, it's not rational. Like, no,
it makes no sense. Why'd you do that?
Like, somebody has to be caught up in that kind of situation. Isn't
that interesting? Your mom had you when she was a little bit older than she should have been. My mom had me when she was a little bit younger than she should have been.
It's just life, man. It's just like you can't write the script. You can try, but you can't write the script. And when you are faced with a difficult decision that's going to shape your whole life, you make it, and you make it according to the circumstances then. And you can't tell what's going to happen in the future.
That's true.
But yeah, family is important. Like closing off this very heavy discussion talking about.
And Christmas is important. So
Christmas is
go
important.
see your family during Christmas, and try to relive some of those memories from 10 years, from 15 years ago, when life was so much better. I think, enjoy and be blessed.
I think what we're trying to establish with this conversation that we weren't planning to have, but we ended up having anyway.
Which ones do we plan, Obakeng? Which ones do we plan?
Is that the importance of family, man? Like, and this is something that I'm learning to understand and to really be comfortable with as I grow older. Because before, it was the thing that it was by default, but now that it's not there anymore, or it's not as intense as it used to be, I tend to.
What's this now? Christmas.
Christmas and the
family vibe
unit. You know what I mean? It's so important, man. It's so important to have that kind of structure, because it can only build if you build it the right way and everybody plays ball. That you can never ever be down and out, and you can only build the strong relationships with family by seeing each other, by having things like Christmas, and where you all come together and knowing each other's stories and talking, and you become closer that way, touching base. So this Christmas and this whole entire festive season, if you're going to be with your family, try as much as you can to just build a stronger family unit. Because the thing is, you never know when you're going to need your family.
Yeah.
That's the other thing people don't really understand. We tend to overlook the fact that we need each other, but you never know when you're actually going to need your family and your cousins and whatever. And all of that comes from the relationship that you build before, because you can't expect help from somebody that you don't know, even if they are your family. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
And also, lest we forget, final word on that, family is not just blood.
Friends.
Family is who takes care of you.
Yes, sir.
Who you take care of.
Yes, sir.
That's family.
Take care of each other, man. Take care of each other.